Lately, I've been noticing things. Tiny little details everywhere I go. And they all create this sense of uneasiness in me. Cab drivers are speeding through reels while on the highway. Every mother or housewife I've recently met is deep into level 6000 of Candy Crush. Our bathroom breaks have gotten so much longer, and dinner dates have started to feel quite quiet. Clearly, there's something amiss. An invisible virus of sorts is spreading. We're changing, little by little. Something is rotting our attention. And I needed to know what is causing it. This is Cocomelon, every infant's favorite show. It has 193 million subscribers on YouTube and over 200 billion views. What you're seeing here is how children react to the Cocomelon soundtrack. They're put into an almost trance-like state, and this happens by design. But their success is backed by a sinister little experiment. See, what they would do is trap a child in front of two screens. On one, Cocomelon would be playing, and on the other, visuals of regular everyday activity that a child couldn't care less about. They'd then note down every point where the child was losing interest in their program, and they'd later fill those points with oversaturated colors or sudden movements that triggered a response in the infant. That way, the child would have to keep watching whether they wanted to or not. And if you really think about it, this is very hard to differentiate from an actual drug addiction. Clearly, the situation is terrifying for children. But what about you? Okay, imagine you're just back home from work after a long day. You take out your phone to feel a tiny little upper. You wonder if there's been any notifications in the last few hours and log onto your favorite social media app. Except, it takes a split second before your notifications are revealed. This isn't because of your slow internet speed or some glitch. It's a calculated move by tech giants who understand that by creating anticipation, they'll be able to trigger more dopamine in your brain, hence ensuring that you are more addicted to the process of checking notifications than the notifications themselves. This is one of countless tricks used by tech giants. The keyword here is addiction, and it's happening right under our noses.
I mean, it's exactly the kind of thing that a hacker like myself would come up with, because you're exploiting a vulnerability in human psychology. The inventors, creators, it's all of these people, understood this consciously, and we did it anyway.
The United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime estimates that 64 million people worldwide suffer from drug addiction. Meanwhile, the number of people who suffer from social media addiction is estimated to be around 210 million. The drug cartel business has had centuries to amass such a huge market share, but the dopamine cartel is just an emerging startup in comparison, and it's already got 3 times the market share. See, what keeps me up at night isn't my own dopamine dependencies. It's when I think about the kind of content today's generations are exposed to and what effects it could be having on their brains.
तेरी इतनी गर्लफ्रेंड्स कैसे है सूर्या? Infinite aura है मेरा. शाहरुख ना.
लेवल 8 ग्याट बन गई है कम्मू.
I mean, what the is this? This virus cannot spread further, and yeah, it is a virus because it has infiltrated our culture in the blink of an eye. And before it fully corrupts the last few brain cells we have left, we have to understand its symptoms. How it affects your ability to focus, your ability to remember things, and even your ability to think critically. Hopefully, we can still fight it. So let's break it down. This is the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. That's the part of your brain that's responsible for your ability to focus and pay attention, and that's our first pit stop. Let me ask you this. Have you noticed yourself or people around you losing their train of thought more often lately? Or maybe you find yourself often saying the phrase, wait, what were we talking about? Do you want to know why that is? On the left is a kid from your parents' generation. She wants attention, but her mom is busy doing 200 things simultaneously, like moms usually do. She doesn't give up and does what she knows best, throwing a tantrum. Eventually, this devious little child manages to manipulate her mom into giving her the attention she needs. On the right, we have the modern day kid. His parents handed him a tablet and access to dopamine driven content for children found on the internet. A perfect recipe to avoid his tantrums. This kid doesn't know it yet, but not getting his parents' attention is now causing him to lose his ability to pay attention when needed. Why? Because his prefrontal cortex is being fed so much dopamine so fast and so often. For your brain to normalize these levels of dopamine spikes would result in your baseline being raised, which means that anything lesser would make you go, nope, let's move on to something else. In fact, you might already be experiencing some of these symptoms, like your frustration when the Wi-Fi speed is slow, or you need to watch YouTube videos at 1.2x speeds, or why children are facing a social media crisis. This is the hippocampus, where memories of past events are stored. And this is the amygdala, where all your emotional memories are stored, and they function in fascinating ways. I want you to try an experiment. Try to remember a memory of yours, something you're quite fond of. Perhaps it's a birthday party from a few years ago. Yours. Back when you still had short hair, where all your loved ones were there, even your partner at the time was there. No, not her, the one with the straight hair. She'd come all the way from Delhi for your birthday, and she brought your favorite cake. What was it? Tiramisu? No, wait, you hate tiramisu. Was it pineapple? Oh no, wait, it was black forest cake. The candles were lit, the laughs were plenty, and it was just the best time ever. Except, there's something weird and fascinating about this memory. You're seeing it in third person view. At least 7 out of 10 of you are. But when you lift out the memory, you saw it all from a different perspective, no? From your own eyes. It is widely accepted among neuroscientists that most people don't really recall a memory as much as they recreate it. You're not pulling it out of a saved file and revisiting the same data each time. Rather, you're remembering the last time you remember this memory. This process is called reconsolidation. But what's more, the emotion you're feeling while recalling a memory often alters the details of the memory itself. This is what allows us to erase all the anxieties and heartbreaks of college and eventually look back at it with rose-tinted glasses. What this seems to imply is that your memory is a very unreliable and delicate system, and yet it's what gives us our personality. And this incredible but fragile faculty is under attack. It's going through drastic changes because of a process called cognitive prosthesis. That's when you externalize or delegate tasks like problem solving, decision making, and memory recollection to devices like calculators, ChatGPT, AI, and even teleprompters. Is that it? This is encapsulated perfectly by something called the Google effect. It refers to the idea that our brains are less likely to remember information if it knows that we can easily find it online. Just this week, an MIT study found that students relying on ChatGPT to write essays had the flattest brain activity patterns and could barely code their own work minutes later. Evidence of what the researchers called cognitive debt. For today's kids, this is especially concerning since they're largely given up on habits like reading and memorizing. They won't be exercising their memory at all.
A lot of these kids don't know how to read because they have had things read to them, or they can click a button and have something read out loud to them.
And looking at the state of things, I think it's time we put active effort towards exercising our cognitive abilities. You know, just on the off chance the apocalypse arrives, destroys civilization, kills Wikipedia, and sends us back to the Stone Ages. What really separates the intelligence of humans and that of other species is, you guessed it, language. Inventing a vocabulary is what helped us communicate the most complex of ideas to each other. You'd be surprised by how ingrained language is to our personalities.
Alright, everybody, let's calm down because we are moving on to our next category, which is the German language. Let's look up at Computer G. So, the German word for hand is, well, hand. But the German word for shoe is Schuh. So, your question is, what is the German word for glove? Option A, Handschuh.
Option A.
That is correct. Let's settle down because the next one is gonna be even harder. The German word for cool is cool. The German word for cupboard is shrink. So your question is, what is the German word for refrigerator? Option A, Kühlschrank. Option B, option A. Option C, option B.
Option C.
You've chosen option C, which is actually option B. And that's option A, which is Kühlschrank. And that's correct! Let's once again take a look at Computer G.
The German language is famous for their compound words, which combine two smaller words into new complex terms. It's all very straightforward and logical, isn't it? There's a study called the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis that suggests that language influences but not determines thought. Going by that, it seems to suggest that the Germans' approach to their language construction may have had a role to play in their culture's inclination towards logic and precision. But let's look at another language to further explore the hypothesis.
Okay, now listen carefully because this is the big one.
Let's go.
What is the direct English translation for the Spanish term te amo? And this time you get no options at all.
I think it's I love you.
That's actually incorrect. That was actually a trick question. There is no direct translation for te amo in English.
That's right. The closest translation for I love you in Spanish is actually te quiero. Historically, te amo was always meant to be used as a far more intense declaration of love. Whereas if you look at English, we only have I love you. And if we wanted to convey something deeper, we generally just add adjectives and metaphors to it. Linguists call this a lexicalization difference. Spanish builds extra rungs into the love ladder so speakers hear and feel finer shades of affection from childhood. Maybe that also explains why they are such an emotionally resonant culture.